Welcome back to another exciting tutorial that's sure to amaze you. So we will continue from previous video. You can follow the link at the corner to check that out. And before we start, remember to give the like button some love and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the great stuff I have in store for you. So before we continue our journey, let's head over to the MetaMask iOS SDK documentation to understand what we want to do next. So in the previous video, we actually installed SDK and imported SDK, and then we connect to the adapt so that we actually establish a proper connection. So in this video, we're gonna go through this call provider's method, but we might skip a few parts because some of the functionality has already been called. But in our case, we want to establish the connection, then get the chain ID, and also get the selected address for our user. And also make some potential UI updates as well. So we can have a proper application that is connected to the MetaMask wallet to retrieve information. So don't worry if it seems a bit complex, so we will work through together. So let's head back to the Xcode. So first of all, we're gonna make some few changes in the UI first, so that we can have some improved version of the applications. So let me switch this to iOS iPhone 14 simulator so that we can actually view in the Canva and to see the changes. So we want to probably have three information like a status, chain ID, and the address, which is probably the account, and also a button that can help us to establish the connection. So let's make them some of the change of that. So we're gonna still keep the V stack here. We're gonna call alignment and leading, and probably wanted some spacing as well. Let's give that a little bit about like 32. So down below we want to have the status down here. So let's just say tags. It's gonna call status. Then we're gonna call this MetaMask repo. We want to make call something, maybe like a connection status. So it should be something to publish some kind of connection, some kind of status from the connection to us, so that we can properly update here. We're just gonna keep all the font the same. Next one, we want to establish a chain ID. So we're just gonna call the chain ID here. The chain ID basically is representing which blockchain. I believe that's for. But for more information, I'm pretty sure on the documentation there's some information on that. But our goal is to focus on the mobile development part. So let's continue on MetaMask repo. I want to call something that can publish as a chain ID. And we're gonna keep the same font as well. And next, we want to have another one that is gonna be called account. And that's gonna be MetaMask repo, and also give us a address of your wallet, of the user's wallet, which is a public address, which it will be easily seen through on a blockchain, which is how you interact with a different project or a crypto project or NFT project. So next, we want to get rid of this and improve the button a little bit. So we still want to make this call here. Maybe make this smaller. Maybe remove the border. Let's just use the default button style. So that will create a proper button for us. Maybe give a little spacer so I can push everything to the top. Now we actually have those, we need to go implement. But before we do that, let's handle the status here. So basically what we want to do is listening to the notification that we got back. So when somebody make a post of a notification, we need to retrieve the information immediately to make the update of the status. Since we're going to put everything inside the ViewModel or the MetaMask repo, so we're going to add the receiving notifications right over here. So let's see on receive. We're going to listening to notification center the default and the publisher. We're going to listening something called we're going to create a custom one so that we can easily use from different location, and so it doesn't confuse with other things. A connection for now. So perform, basically we're just going to have a notification output, so that way we can update. I believe the syntax, we can remove those directly to access that, and then here we can just update the status. Yeah, we also needed something to catch the status. So I think here should be fine. We just catch directly inside this SwiftUI. So we're gonna give a default one just in case you don't have any connection come back. So we're gonna update the status here and call the notification and user notification.user info, and this should have something called a value, and as we're gonna cast that as a string, or we're still gonna just give the offline. Okay, so now we have those. I think we should be able to, oh, we're missing one more. Okay, so now we should be able to go to the repository and the ViewModel, go make some of the change from there. So we're gonna create a custom notification. So we're gonna put right over here. So we can extend what we currently have. We can extend what Apple actually already have. So notification.name. Basically, we're just gonna create our custom name so it can easily be used. So we're gonna call it a connection and notification.name. I believe it's a raw value, so we're just gonna call connection. Next, we still want to keep this Ethereum singleton here, but we're gonna make some few change here. We're gonna call it published. We're gonna make a private, so we don't expose this to on-site. And then we want to actually have a few different things that's published. So we're gonna call published var and connection status. Just like we create in the SwiftUI code there, we're gonna add a offline for default. And when this value sets, we want to trigger the notification center default post. We want to post a name with some user info. So connection object gonna be nil, and we want to pass a user info back. So let's call it value, and we're just gonna pass the status back. So here is where we're gonna observe the change, but okay, so for next one, we're gonna be publish a var that is called chain ID, and then we're gonna publish var Ethereum address. So here's something that's interesting. So basically, this MetaMask SDK singleton Ethereum here that already contains that proper data that we needed, I would say. Like it already contains chain ID connected, and those are already published. So that's why on the documentation, they do suggest to use observed. But in our case, we want to keep those contents in the view model so we can have a proper application architecture. So we're gonna make a few little bit adjustments so we can actually contain those things in the view model. It will be easier if we want to write any unit test for testing. That will be also really helpful. So we're gonna keep those things right here. So next thing I want to do is I want to change this name to whatever the documentation suggests. I think we should go with that. So it will be easier for everyone to follow. So we're going to call HTTPS, then we're going to call dep and .com. I think that should be it. And then after that, we do want to add a combine, because on the documentation example, they were using combine to make the actual call. So since they did not provide any async await version of call, we're just gonna use combine. So we need a we need a cancelable in order to catch the combine's return, so we can retain them. So basically, it's a set that can contains any amount of any cancelable. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is when we init this ViewModel, we want to make a call to observe the changes of the status. So let's make the function first. Let's call this private function observe connection status. We're gonna call Ethereum dot. I think we can just observe this connected, and we can call the sync. I believe we can just try to say if we got the volume back. So we can just easily say weak self is connected in this, and we want to say self connection status equal to is connected. To check if it is a true, if it's true, we want to call, we want to return a string called connected. Otherwise, we're gonna call disconnected. And then we want to store this. Make sure to keep that in the cancelable. And then we want to call this when this get init. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is improve this connect to dApp, so we can actually properly retrieve our data back. So we're gonna call it, I believe this returns an optional. So and also we're gonna call it sync. We're gonna have a completion here, and then we want to add a switch case to check out the completion. Next, we want to add a case. I think there's a case of failure, let error. And we want to just print out the error for now. So we're going to call it connection error. Okay. And I believe we need to add a default as well. So when default, let's just break it. I don't really cares. Then when we receive the value, which is the result, we want to print out this as well. So let's say connection result. And we're just gonna print this result right out. Don't need to convert to anything. And then we can call it dispatch to make sure you update everything on the main thread. Because published var will be needed to be updated on the main thread in order to handle that. So we're gonna do that here. So we're gonna call self.chain ID equal to self.ethereum. Since we are observing the published value from the Ethereum, so we need to access that. And also want to do is Ethereum address. Go to self.ethereum selected address. And also don't forget to store that cancelable. Okay, now I think we should be good to go to run our test real quick. So before we do that, let's run the canvas here, see the change first. Okay, this looks fairly good. So let's run this through our actual application, and then I'll stitch a screen recording right on the screen here. So let's switch this to my test phone, and then let's run it. All right, here's the application and load up. So currently the status is disconnected, and we don't have a chain ID, we don't have an account. So let's connect your MetaMask. Accept the connection, and we come back and we got our chain ID and also my wallet account, my wallet address, which is my account. So here you have, guys, this is how you basically connect the MetaMask wallet to retrieve your chain ID and the account address, so that you can properly utilize those information to continue the application development. So basically in our next video, we're gonna get ready to take things up to notch as we retrieve your account's balance and to display it directly onto your application. And imagine having your very own wallet balance right at your fingertips for your application, so you can integrate a bunch of different kind of feature for it. So I hope you found this tutorial both informative and exciting. And if you are ready to take your Ethereum app development to the next level, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. And your support keeps me motivated to bring you more valuable content. As always, if you have any questions or thoughts, drop them in the comment section below. Your feedback matters, and I'm here to help you on your Ethereum app development journey. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, happy coding.